run into experiences on campus or throughout our lives here that are pretty funny. So today, if she can finalize the list, I'm going to read the people that have volunteered to share a story that is hilarious. Actually, I don't know, hilarious is raising the bar up too much. So, but we're going to start off with Ayat, who's going to share an experience here on campus.
I don't know if it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay. So this happened my freshman year here at Ohio State. By the way, my name is Ayat. I'm a first-year graduate student in human nutrition. And I just want to tell you a story that happened to me in freshman year. I came to Ohio State as a freshman from Cleveland, from out of state. So as a freshman, you're required to live in the dorms the first year. So I had my roommate, and I had met her previously. I didn't meet her previously, but we were talking over Facebook message. And I met her the first time that day, and it would be the first night that I'm spending in the dorm alone as a college freshman, and I'm really scared and whatever. So I was planning on telling her about my prayer and what that means exactly and what she'll see me doing later on. But I hadn't had a chance to tell her yet. It was really hectic with welcome back week and everything like that. So at the time I didn't wear a hijab or anything. So I was waiting for her to leave the room. She was meeting some friends for dinner or something, and I was waiting for her to leave so that I can pray the Asr prayer. So I was waiting and waiting. I already had done wudu, and I was ready to go. And I didn't put my hijab on or anything because I was going to talk to her about that later, because I was kind of embarrassed at the time. I didn't know how she would react. I didn't know her very well at the time. So I was waiting for her to leave, and then finally she left. So I'm like, yes, this is my chance to pray. So I set up my prayer rug, and of course this is a dorm room. It's very small. There's only like a bunk bed here, a bunk bed there, and then like a space in the middle. So I set up my prayer rug, and I was getting ready to pray, and then she had left. So I was standing there, and then I started praying, Allahu Akbar. And then all of a sudden I hear the door unlock, and I'm like, oh no, oh my God, she came back. What am I gonna do? Should I stop my prayer, or should I just like keep going and then like deal with it later? I don't know what to do. So I'm just praying there, and I stopped reading Quran. I'm just like, oh, I don't know what to do. She's about to come in. She's about to see me doing this weird bowing thing with this hijab on this prayer rug on the floor, and she has no idea what's going on. So she comes in, and I just see out of the corner of my eye, she just goes like, and then she like closes the door and leaves. So I was like, oh no, she thinks I'm a psycho. So then she goes to dinner. I think she forgot something, but she came back eventually, and she was quiet. Like, she didn't say anything to me, and I was like, this is going to be really awkward. So I talked to her, and I'm like, yeah, Amy, so about earlier, I know like you came back and you just saw me standing there, on a rug, and I didn't talk to you. It's not that I was ignoring you. I was just in the middle of prayer, and I explained to her, yeah, when we pray, we put the hijab on and we cover and we just bow down and stuff like that. And she's like, oh, okay. And it was just like awkward from then on. So that's my prayer story. But it got better after that. I think she was just shocked at the initial, Muslim exposure. And then we got really close after that, and she became, really comfortable around me. So that's my freshman year story.
All right, next up is Lena.
What? Okay, I guess set up and okay, salam everyone. Can you hear me? Okay, so my name is Lena. I'm a third year student here, English major, the marketing chair on the board this year. I'm not really funny, so we'll see how this goes. I guess like for me, being a Muslim on campus is I'm like one of those undercover Muslims. We joke around, like I look like a white girl, like let's be real here. And I've heard some really interesting things like people say about Islam, especially in class. Like I'll be sitting there and people will talk like, oh, Islam is so oppressive to women, this and that. And I'll let them talk, I'll let them say what they want, and then at the end, I'll just raise my hand, right? And I'll be like, look, that's not what we are or anything like that. So it's kind of what I do on campus. I'm the secret Muslim that to debunk, misconceptions about us. So, like I said, I'm not really funny, but I'll tell you a funny story that happened to my brother. My brother, Ahmad, he's older than me. He also doesn't look like a Muslim per se. He's very white boy looking. And one of his really good friends recently converted to Islam. And so everyone at Masjid knew it was like, oh, we heard like someone has converted to Islam. And my brother Ahmad is sitting with his friend's dad outside the masjid. And people come up to my brother and they're like, oh, congratulations on being a Muslim. And my brother Ahmad's like, no, that's not me, dude. Like, that's my friend Matt. Like, I don't know. So, yeah, like I said, I'm not really funny.
Thank you for that story. It was very funny. So, the next person I would like to call up is Shenya.
Assalamu everyone. First off, let me just say I'm a really terrible storyteller. I mess everything up. Most people know that. I mess everything up that I tell, but hopefully I'll get the message out. So, as my family knows, I love to play pranks on my family and my friends, and I'm constantly trying to find ways to do it. I'll like hide behind couches to like jump out, or like I'll turn off the lights of a room and then I'll jump out somewhere. And I'm usually really good at it. Like I've scared everyone in my family, like to the point of crying at some point. Like my sister.
I vouch.
Yeah. So one time, my parents have asked me not to do it like multiple times, but I can't help it. Like if I know I'm gonna scare someone, I'm gonna do it. So one time, my brother, I had made him upset about something, and I'd gone up to my room, and I knew he was coming to my room. So I pretended I wasn't there. I hid behind the door. And then I was thinking, I had turned off the lights, and I was like, okay, as soon as he comes in, I'm going to jump out, and I'm going to scare him. And he gets scared a little easily, so I was really happy about this one. So he comes in, and I jump out, and I like yell really loudly, and he freaks out, and what he does is shut the door as hard as he can into me. And so he shoved it into my face, and I woke up the next day with a black eye. Like a real black eye. And so I walked around and everybody stared at me, everybody looked at me, and I know what they were all thinking, because this girl's getting beat up at home. She's Muslim, she's wearing a hijab, she probably did something to get that. And one time, about a week after I got the black eye, it kept getting worse the first few weeks. I would wake up and it was like bigger and blacker every time. One time I went to lunch with my friend, and we were sitting down, and usually it's the first thing that people would ask me, oh my God, what happened to your eye? Like, what happened? So it was the first thing I got after we said, like, eye. So I was used to answering the question, and with my friend, we sat there for over an hour and a half, eating, talking, going over everything, and she never once asked, like, what happened. And I didn't realize until, like, we were leaving, and I was like, oh, you never, like, asked what happened to, like, my face. It's, like, a little different. And she's like, oh, I'm really sorry. I thought it was, like, a private thing that happened at home, and I didn't want to, like, intrude or ask or something like that. Now, the funny part about this is my friend was actually Muslim. So, one, she was my friend, and two, she was Muslim, and she thought I was getting beat up at home and didn't want to ask any questions. So. That's the story. Hopefully it wasn't too good.
He's here. The next person up, who I'm very personally excited for, Mashoud. Come on up here, buddy.
I really don't know why they chose my name. I think it was it last week or 2 weeks ago, or I think it was a month ago, first of all, that I took an exam in stats, and I learned a valuable lesson. I now know why they say betting is haram. So a couple of my friends who were sitting with me, they were like, let's bet on this, who's gonna score the highest? And me being the confident person I am, I was like, sure, this is statistics, how bad can it get? Come on, man. And then took the exam, and another person got a higher grade than me, pretty higher, and I was the last person, I was like the third place, So me being stupid, I decided not to take the bet for giving $5 for food. I was like, I'll do the dare. So I didn't know these people that well, like in sense like their like daring position. So they decided, well, they came out with like weird ideas. One was like, go sit next to a girl in stats and ask for her number, and then and if she doesn't give you your number, just sit there for a whole week next to her every single day. I was like, no. They came out with other weird ideas I can't say because they were pretty weird. So they came up with this one idea where I had to wear a hijab. Now I'm looking here at myself like, what have I got myself into? And then I came out with an excuse. I was like, I can't wear a hijab because that would be like kind of portraying me being a woman, and that's not right, and it's not allowed. Then they came and they elaborated on this scheme. They're like, you can wear that around your neck, and then you can wear a pink headband for the rest of the day. I was like, okay, sure, maybe like it's a Monday or a Wednesday or Tuesday. They chose Ummah. They're like, Friday. That's where you're gonna see the most people. You're gonna go to football. But we know you're going to come to that dinner for SSA that night. And I was like, great! How back in again, man? So I dressed up nice and I came and to wear a pink scarf. Then I wore a pink headband. It wasn't exactly Rambo. And then a couple of my friends decided to go to Lavage. And I think the person there literally thought I was gay. And he gave everyone else bread and salad. I ordered the same exact thing. He still didn't give me bread and salad. I was like standing there, I was waiting for him to say like, oh, sorry, I forgot. He just kept staring at me. Like he put down the tray first and then he stepped back like 2 steps, looking for what I would do with my food. I was like, I've been coming here for a whole year, man. I'm straight as it gets. Like, give me my bread and salad. He still didn't give me my bread and salad. I felt offended. And then like that night, I learned a valuable lesson. I went home, I was talking to my mom, I was like, I have to wear pink all day. She's like, why did you wear pink all day? And knowing Daisy parents, they're very judgmental about this because they know what situation I was in. And she had this like curious like tone to her. She's like, Baker's okay, you can tell me what's going on. And I was like, oh, here we go, she thinks I'm gay too. I wasn't. I told her and she was like, oh, Beta. Didn't you know picking was haram? How many times have I told you? I was like, now I've learned my lesson. Now we're going to wear pink again. Now we're going to bet on exams, especially statistics. Alright? Stats is supposed to be a joke, but it's not. Whoever tells you it's a joke is lying to you. And you tell them to their face, they're haram! Sorry, I got a little carried away. But yeah, that's my pink story.
Thank you for that spirited account of your experience. So the next person is a seal.
Yay! So my name is Asid. I'm a 4th-year student studying pharmaceutical sciences, and my story is not nearly as funny as Chu's or anybody else's story. It's more interesting than funny. But it was last year. It was really, really early in the morning. I was walking like back behind the financial aid building, going to class. I was with one of my friends, and I passed by a lady, and I just keep on walking, and then I hear terrorist. So I like turn around, and I'm like, excuse me? And she's like, you terrorists, you're all wrapped up, ready for war. And I was like, oh, no, this is actually for modesty. Like, we cover ourselves for modesty and stuff like that. And she was like, I don't care. I still think you're a terrorist. And I just started laughing. It was maybe a little bit rude, but I just started laughing to think that somebody would relate a headscarf to terrorism. But she was African American, and the reason I say that, the reason I mention this is because she was in between like her 40s and 50s. And I just thought that maybe she would have more, how can I say, she would relate a little bit more to like discrimination and segregation based on like what's happened like in American history, but no, so I guess not. So yeah, that's what happened.
Thank you. Next, Kinza. Applause for
Assalamualaikum. My name is Shuman. So bad storytelling runs in the family, as Shania said, so bear with me.
It rubs off.
Yeah. I went to a high school where there weren't many Muslims, so I was like one of 2 or 3 hijabis, and there are many students who kind of became obsessed with the notion of seeing my hair because they haven't seen it. So this was an encounter I had too frequently, surprisingly.
I'm just acting new guy.
Hey, Shimon, can I see your hair, please?
No, I've already explained this to only my dad, my brother, my uncle, and eventually my husband will be able to see my hijab. Or my hair.
So I'd have to marry you.
That's generally how it goes, yeah. Oh, you'd have to be Muslim and then marry me.
Well, I can do that. Will you marry me? And I believe in Allah. Is that what you call it?
Maybe some other time.
No, wait! Your hair! Seriously?
So that happened a lot, surprisingly.
Okay. Curious guys at your high school. Anyway, so the next person up is Hammy. Yeah.
Harry.
Harry. Ari. It looks like Ari.
Poor Harry.
Yeah. From here. Okay, so this goes to back when I was in grade 7, and I freshly transferred from Pakistan to Qatar, and it was a new experience, new school and everything, and the guys' bathroom and the girls' bathroom, there was a huge lane, and there was only one bathroom in each lane, and one whole lane was for guys, one whole lane was for girls, even though the classes were in all lanes. You kind of feel that? Okay. So I was not, okay, no, they were columns. What did I say? Aisles, lanes.
Aisles, okay.
Aisles, okay. There were aisles of classes, and then at the end there was one bathroom at the end, and for one aisle it was just girls' bathroom, and the other aisle was just a guy's bathroom. But I didn't know that. So I was really big too, okay? So and I would turn red instantly. So one day I had to use the bathroom. That's why you generally go to the bathroom. So I walk into the bathroom, and 3 girls are looking in the mirror, and then they turn towards me, and then they drop everything. Okay, not literally. I'm just elaborating this way. I'm just standing there and staring at them, and I turn red, really red. And the funny thing was, I didn't even move from there. I was there for 3 minutes, which is bad. But yeah, and then they all run out of the bathroom calling me a pervert. And the funny thing about this is, though, one of the girls started wearing hijab. I don't know if it was directly related to that, but one of the girls started wearing hijab, and I thought that was hilarious. And yeah, that's pretty much my story.
Okay, so before we have the last one, do any of you guys want to come share a story? I mean, would you like, okay, come on up.
So when I was a freshman, I didn't really know anyone here on campus, but I still come to MSA stuff, and I still come to Joma. My brother used to give the proposals at MSA Joma sometimes, And then we'd go out to eat like after that, or like get food with him and then go home. And so he would give the khutbah, and like I don't know if the guys knew who he was, but I guess they did. And then one day we went to it was a restaurant called Oliva's. So we go to that restaurant together, and we're ordering food, and we're sitting down, and a bunch of MSA guys come in. My brother's like, uh-oh. And they come and they shake his hand, and he's like, do they know who you are? I'm like, I don't know any other guys here. And he's like, uh-oh, this looks so bad. You're like, a bunch of guys, and I'm sitting with like some random girl, right after I gave it, I'm like, goodbye. So he's like, do you think you're like, so we quickly.
Anyone else? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Is that what it is? Okay. Actually, you know what? I'll just go and give one. I have one. It's mildly hilarious. It's not very funny at all, actually. That was an overstatement. So I also live in a dorm presently right now with 2 other roommates, and like me and one of my roommates we became really good friends. So one time I was praying, and I have my rugs. I was praying, and then I hear like something like action behind me, and like you can hear something scraping the ground. And then like I finished praying, and I turned around, and what my roommate had done was he had taken the runner from between our beds and made it his rug, and he had just been praying behind me the entire time. And it was just like really, but he didn't know what he was doing, so it was just like a funny like thing, and I thought I'd contribute because I don't know. Last but not least, the closer. I'm sorry, I'm overriding you. But Ilhan is going to come up and share a story. So.
Okay, so I couldn't think of one story to fill up the 3-minute time slot, so I came up with 3 little vignettes, and I brought my phone up to remind me because I'm very forgetful. Okay, first one is called Bowing Story. So I was en route to Chipotle, which a lot of my stories begin this way because I'm usually en route to Chipotle. And I was walking across the street from the Union to Chipotle, and I don't know, thinking about class or whatever else I think about when I'm by myself. And I don't know if you guys, if you go to OSU, I think you're familiar with this guy, but he has a sort of like a poster. He's homeless, and it says that if you give him money, he'll do a lot of like crude things with that, like buy alcohol or drugs or other things I won't mention in this company. And so I saw the sign, and I was a little bit jarred because I'd never seen him before. And before I could do anything about it, he closes it, like sticks it right behind his back, and then just bows. I was a little bit confused. But a little bit confused is the understatement. I was very confused, and my first instinct was to do the same thing. So it's very awkward to go to Chipotle, and I usually don't because of that experience. The second one, I told you I would forget. Okay, I'm not going to give you the title because it'll give away the punchline. I was in a class, a political science class, and if you guys know me, you know that I'm very outspoken, and so I had a lot of remarks. This was also during the election season, during the 2008 election, when there were remarks going on about how President Obama was Muslim, and a lot of people were saying some very offensive things, and so I was contributing, and this girl raises her hand and says, well, of course that's what you think, like you're one of them, right? You're one of the Muslims, so your opinion's not as valid. And I was very uncomfortable, but I had to remark, so I was like, well, and like ready to go, and this kid out of nowhere interrupts me and goes, I thought you were a Buddhist. So the class broke out into laughter, and I didn't have time to sass her out because I was laughing. And the third and final one, there were 2 really funny things to happen to me during my first ever internship at the Columbus Dispatch. And it all started, I was very nervous, I was excited, I had like pressed slacks on, and I was like, I'm in an official office. I was 16, so everything was very exciting to me. I get into the elevator, and a gentleman comes on. He's a janitor at the Columbus Dispatch. He's sort of like an elderly white man, and he's carrying like all his janitor tools with him. And he looks at me and says, Assalamu alaikum. And I was like, oh, wa alaikum assalam. This is a nice surprise. and he's talking to me, and he just starts going off on a diatribe in Arabic, and I don't speak Arabic, so things got a little weird because he just kept going, and I was like, right, and he's like, keeps going, and then I was like, I didn't know how to reply. And so I got little things like Ramadan, and I was like, oh, I'm fasting. And he said he was fasting as well. And he said, so you don't speak any Arabic at all? And I was like, no. And he's like, He just looked really disappointed and got out. And that very same day I was fasting, we all went to North Market. We're all buying food. I go into the bathroom really quick because I was like, I don't want them to think I have like really bad breath because my breath was kicking at this point. 4 p.m. So I go into the bathroom real quick and start brushing my teeth. And the person that was in charge of the entire internship walks in, and I was like, I tried to play it off. I washed off my toothbrush and promptly left. And that's the end of it.
Okay, so, anyone else? Oh, no. You don't have one, okay. So I'm done, okay. I'm done. Oh, I'm not done.
I wanted to say a funny story.
Okay, yeah, come on, sorry. Sorry.
Hello, my name is Nina. So I graduated in psychology and hopefully will work. Can you guys hear me? No. No. Can you guys hear me?
You have to talk to it, or just...
You have to kind of yell into it.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
All right, so I think it was sophomore year, I did freshman orientation. So I was freshman orientation leader. So it was kind of weird because I went all the way to Marion campus. So I drive all the way for like an hour, but kind of weird. But anyways, so one time I was sitting outside, we had breakfast, and there was this like old man, about like 80 or something. He was walking by, and we just thought it was kind of weird because, it's like the summer, no one usually walks around. So anyways, he like comes over and he like shouts, and he was like, hey, you. And I was like, huh? And so he comes over and he was like, are you from Iran? Are you from Saudi Arabia? Iraq? And I was like, so I didn't know what he was talking about. And so me, who doesn't know how to lie, I was like, no, I'm from Syria, and just like going on with that. And then he like comes closer, and I don't know, he starts putting his hand in his pockets, and I was like, oh my gosh. And then my friend Lydia was like, great, Mom, look, we're just like in like total trouble right now. And so he was like, do you have a pen or something? I was like, I don't know, why would I have a pen? And he turns around, and it was funny because it was my professor, and he was like, do you have a pen? I need a pen. And he grabs the pen from her, and he's like, can I have your autograph? And I was like, what? and I was like, okay, like I'm just eating breakfast. He's like, okay, do you have like paper or anything? And I was like, napkin. Works? He was like, yeah. He's like, can you sign your name? And I was like, okay. And we thought he had a gun, so we were really freaked out. Like, okay, pen, that's good. So yeah, so I signed, but then I was like, great. I have a name tag, it says my name. So I was like, all right, Iman, Tibo, let's see, Emma. Okay, and then Thompson, I used to work at Thompson Library. So I wrote Emma Thompson, all right? Emma Thompson is an actress, okay? So he like even got crazier. He was like, oh my gosh, you're an actress! And he was just like so like excited or something. And I was like, oh my gosh, like what am I supposed to do now? And he was kind of weird, okay? Like I was a psych major, so I was like really good. My friend who was next to me was like taking pictures of him, but we're totally gonna get him in trouble. But so what happened is, he kept telling me to like sign my name, and I like made it look all pretty and everything. And then he was like, can you put that one guy from Dublin? He's like a golfer or something. And I was like, I don't know. And he was just like, yeah, his name is this. He's my friend. Apparently there's like a famous golfer. I don't know. Scotland or something. So yeah, I put his name, then he was like, write Dublin really big, and then on the side, write my name and say to my best friend. His name was like, I don't know, John or something, and I was like, okay, to my best friend John, Emma Thompson. And then he was so excited though, and he was like, so why did your parents call you Emma Thompson and all that? And I was like, yeah, we're gonna leave right now. We just finish breakfast, and But anyway, so that was kind of weird. And then we got in trouble because I told all the guidance counselors, and they were just like, "Why are you guys talking to him and all that?" I was like, "Well, you know, he's just a nice guy."
Okay, Bashir would like to share. So, Bashir, come on up here. Bashir.
You're the grunt show. Oh, there you go.
So mainly, I wanted to say this to the guys, because I don't know if the girls do this. Do not put your foot in the sink when you're doing wudu, because I've seen the reaction of non-Muslims to it. So I was in the bathroom once. I was about to do wudu. There was a queue. There was a Muslim who was doing wudu, Muslim guy, and then there was a non-Muslim behind him. The non-Muslim was waiting for him to get done with wudu. So the guy was almost done, you know, he just washed his neck, and then he took off his socks and put his foot in the sink, and then the guy just turned around and walked out of the bathroom. I ain't standing for this. And it's kind of nasty because you don't know what's in the sink anyway, so it's probably not going to make your, your wudu isn't going to be any better. Just be prepared. The second thing is if I'm about to miss Salah, so I have to find a prayer space in a spot where it's not meant to be, not supposed to be there, it's not designated place. So it'll be in a building, maybe in a stairwell. So I'll go there, find a corner, I'm praying, and I'm thinking before I pray, I hope nobody walks in. They're not going to know what's going on. So I'll start my prayer, and then I'll hear footsteps. I'm trying to be in Pashto, and I'm like, oh, this is not going to be good, because somebody's about to be really confused. You know what's going on. So usually what happens, you hear footsteps, you hear it louder, and then the footsteps stop. And then at that point, the person probably just looking at you and wondering what's going on. Does this person need help? And usually the end of that, or the climax of that, is when you make sujood. The person will come up to you, get on his knees, put his hand on your back, and tell you, get his face really close to you. He's like, are you okay? At that point, you're not sure. I don't know what the fatwa is about this. Am I supposed to stop my prayer right now and tell him that I'm okay, or am I supposed to continue through this? Because that's happened before, and usually what happened, you have to break Salah and tell him that you're fine, you're just praying. So those are the two things I wanted to share. Thank you.
All right, Moise, come on up here.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Moise Hassan. Anyways, in high school, I went to Catholic school, believe it or not. So you could already imagine the kinds of things that I got there. But basically, one of the funniest stories, I'll share too. One of the funniest stories was when I first got there. No one knew the concept of Ramadan, obviously. So, I'd be really, really tired, and I'll sit in the lunchroom, and so I'm sitting there in the lunchroom and yawning, and literally everyone at my table made a game that was to throw popcorn in his mouth when he's yawning. And so it didn't really end up well because those kids actually, they were my friends, so I was like, whatever, you guys are jerks. But basically, these kids, so yeah, basically what happened was the principal came and saw them do it one time. And I had to literally leave class and vouch for these kids that they were all in good taste. So I just thought that, it's just really funny to, from an outsider's perspective, like imagine this kid yawning and all of a sudden the whole table just like throws popcorn and try to get it in his face. So that's the first story, actually. The second story is actually like, whenever I meet someone new, like I've actually compiled like a list of things people like say in reaction to when they find out I'm Muslim. And the funniest ones I thought were like, oh, you're Muslim. I love hummus. It's like, what? Or, oh, you're Muslim. but you look so nice. And there's actually a very, very long list that I've come up with, but if you guys want to know, see me after, right? Sorry.
Thank you, boys. Anyone else? Yes?
Okay.
Come on up. I don't know your name. Fatima.
Okay. So, unlike the other people, I'm not in college. I go to Hilliard Memorial Middle School, and so I was in one of my classes, and one of my friends was like really fascinated with the fact that I had hair, and I was covering it. So she was like touching my butt, and she was like, "Wow, this is so cool! It's like a pillow. I can sleep on your head." And then she was like, "Whoa, your pins are colored. That's so amazing." And one of the somebody next to me was like, "You have pins in your head?" And I was like, "No." And they go, "But how do you keep it together then? Do you glue it?" And I was like, "No." And they go, "So you put the pins in your scarf, but not in your head?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "That makes no sense." So then they actually went to the science teacher and asked them, "How do you put pins through a fabric that it doesn't go through anything else?" And the teacher was really confused as to why the person was asking that question. And she said, "Is there any specific reason why you're asking this?" And she said, "Well, there's this Muslim, and she puts pins in her head, but it's not in her head." And so then I actually got called to the class, and he asked me how I did it. And so I basically had to explain to them that the pins weren't in my head, and I wasn't bleeding, I was fine, and I didn't need to go to the nurse.
Thank you for that. It's an interesting story. Okay. Okay. All right. So we're moving on. I would like to introduce Adiba, right, who is going to introduce, double introducing, the next year's board, inshallah, for the MSA. Sana, the elections committee, actually. So, sorry for that.